Okay, hello again. Uh, this is Professor Yoon. The module that we are going to study today is a vulnerability analysis, which is available on Kelly. Um, so we do not need to worry about to installation and Wireshark um, that we installed uh, in the previous, I think, two modules ago, right? As an example of the Linux on the Linux uh, the platform, a way of installing the tools and packages. There we took Wireshark as an example to do that, right? All right. So this vulnerability analysis is one of the tools, hacking tools, or penetration tools installed on Kelly. Um, Besides the one that we are going to work on today, um, the the tools for vulnerability analysis comes with a Raspberry Pi Kali is Nmap. Um, but if you want to check the vulnerability over Windows system, so only the Microsoft Windows systems, which stems from IBM PC operating systems, which was invented in early 1980s. Okay, that is somehow um, outliers of typical formal operating systems. At that time, it was a small outlier, part of still a small outlier, and that is the cause of all kinds of um, cyber threats. Number one, because so many people are using Microsoft Windows. Number two, Microsoft Windows is comes from wrong basis, which is IBM PC, initially abruptly, carelessly invented in early 1980s. At that time, one of the network um, protocol and control modules uh, is a bio network bio. I mean, N um, this NBT. Okay. um, There's so-called net bias. Okay, this is the name of that. Um, um, this was a program invented to mimic uh, the formal um, networks like a TCP, UDP, all kinds of network protocols. So this is NetBIOS is as a original Windows version. BIOS stands for basic input output system. So input output, one of the the form of input output to PC is a network, right? So this is a net BIOS. Um, so now if you want to attack or penetrate the Windows systems, then rather than using Nmap, okay, which we will practice much today. This is network mapper. Nmap, by the way, works for Windows, Linux, all kinds of operating systems to find out the vulnerabilities. So that using this Nmap, we can scan IPs, ports, we can gain MAC addresses, we can gain open ports or hidden ports from your firewall. So all kinds of things can be diagnosed using this Nmap. So basically, small version of Nmap, particularly for Windows systems, is a NetBIOS. Because of that, NetBIOS is not available on default Kali, which means we have to install if we want. Okay, the way that we can install is as we did for Wireshark before. There's apt-get install and nbt scan. Okay, then you can install the images of nbt scan on your Kali Linux. On the other hand, if someone wants to compile in order to avoid any unforeseen potential errors that may be existing on your special version of Kali, then you better to compile it. This is the steps that you can do, right? wget so that you can download from your command line, Linux command line, by feeding the web ID, web URL, web address. Once you receive the particular zip files, then you need to do tar. Actually, in this case, on tar. Why it is on tar? Because option is X for extract. Okay, and then run make. Make is to make a executable file from your tar directories, and after that you can run in this way, right? Once you have nbt scan, then you can scan IPs recursively. This is recursion -R. Okay, and then by giving this IP, if you want to see all in C class systems in the C class network, subnetwork. And if you want to scan a few in this range, that is also possible. In this case, 192.189.1.100-2104. Usually it is 186, right? That is for your PC. And then you can dump if you want to dump the packets through that BIO. So these are all things for the Windows systems. Okay. On the other hand, we will look at this Nmap. Okay, network mapper. This tool comes with the RPI version of Kelly, so you do not have to worry about, and we will practice that. I'm going to give you first a lecture uh, on the slides that I prepared, and this is also posted on your Blackboard, right? So second phase of today's lecture will be the lab, where you can practice this particularly. From my preparation, computer science in NYU is one of a good example of IP, so we are going to work on. But the IP is not necessarily NYU computer science. You can put anything, Stanford computer science, MIT, whichever you want. Okay, but if you like Mercy College, we do not have any server for computer science or cybersecurity. Well, by the way, we do, right? But not under mercy.edu, according to very funny misunderstanding of administrators level. But anyway, there's a long story for short. We were not able to. So if you want to see all the variables returned, then minus v. And if you want to scan whole subnet under this domain, okay, whatever that you may see, star, you can get it. You can put some range by having dash. So 101 through 200, that is also possible. If you want to see the trace route information, then option for that is minus A. By the way, if you want to see all the options available for nmapper, network mapper, then you can, on your prompt, you can simply type nmap, well, with no parameter arguments, then it shows, it displays options that you can choose or combine. You can combine two or more options. If you want to enable I/O detection, you can have another option, big O. You can scan a host to detect firewall, then minus S and A. Okay. I want to read what these options means. We'll look at when we do practice. I'm going to give you some of the examples that you may exploit using nmap here. Another thing that you can do is that you can scan a host to check is protected by firewall. So uppercase P and N. Okay. If you want to, I mean, this is IP is actually needed. If you want to add IP particularly, then how can we get IP address rather than the nickname? Here's the thing that you need to do. You need to use the command nslookup followed by the URL, then you can gain IP address. But by default, if you do not have nslookup, Kelly does not have nslookup installed, believe it or not. Then you have to install it. Here's the steps that you need to install. nslookup first you have to check if nslookup is available. If it says not found, then try to issue this apt-cache search NSLOOKUP, and finally, then you can see which the name of the tools that you need to install. You cannot install, for example, apt-get install NSLOOKUP. Okay, because the NSLOOKUP is a component of a big package, which is called DNS utils. The utilities for domain server system, domain network systems, DNS. To get this name, then you need to get this. You need to get this get this name, package name from this. So by the way, we would like to see this. We already know this. I gave this to you, right? So you simply run this. After you run this, try NSLOOKUP, then it can give you another prompt statements. I believe that is greater than sign. There you can type cs.nyu.edu or exit from there, and you can combine this NSLOOKUP with the URL together as a shell command. Okay, this is that. So this is particularly, I believe this is the IP address for cs.nyu.edu. Therefore, you can scan a host to check its protection. So nmap -p uppercase P, uppercase N, followed by IP, then you can have that. And find out live host in a network, then you can do 128, 122, for example, from this, okay, and 0 star, then you can see some others, or you may extend up to this and star, whichever you want to do. That is also possible. Scan ports consecutively, then -R option. Print host interfaces and routes, then nmap. This is not for any remote host, but on your own, your system. Okay, what is the interfaces or routers that I am using? Okay, then you can do nmap --if list. Scan for a specific port, then small p, lowercase p, and then port number. And also, if you want to scan TCP port, then you can do T and port number. Then that will be scanning for particularly TCP. If you want to scan UDP ports, then uppercase U. Okay. Scan remote host using TCP acknowledgement, a TCP sync, then PNS. That's what you can do. Okay. Furthermore, scan for a specific port with the TCP ACK or TCP SYN. You can do that in this way. Right? Only the option, right? Uppercase PA, uppercase PS, and followed by port numbers. And perform a stealthy scan, then -S and uppercase S. Perform most commonly used ports with the TCP sync, then -ST, so T for TCP. Perform a TCP null scan to fool a firewall, then -SN, and for negates. Spooling, oh, this is real good, right? You can spoof and then cloak with the decoys, which means you want to disguise what you are trying to do. Okay, cloak with the decoys. So this decoy option -D, and then you can do multiple IPs. One thing that you have to be aware here is that you could have a multiple IPs. When you do have this, it should be all in one string. There's no space in between. If you have a space, then you have an error. And then this is very similar to the stealth scan here, right? So while you do stealth scan, you don't want somebody to uh, when they are monitor, you want to disguise what you are doing by cloaking. Finally, we will do Wireshark. Okay, the installation of Wireshark is very simply apt-get install Wireshark. Then it'll be installed, and then you can set the interface and then get the signals from there. All so by choosing the interfaces, if it is a Wi-Fi interface, then you can see Wi-Fi packets. If it is Ethernet connection, if you have, and if you choose the particular Ethernet connectable interface, then you can see all the packets that come and go through the Ethernet. All right. This is a slide that I prepared, and I'm going to stop and come back with Raspberry Pi. Okay, see you soon. Okay, let me first show it to you here. If you click on application, remember that the Kali, when you install, previously recon-ng this is a tool that doesn't come with the Kali, but we installed it right in the previous lecture. And today we will do vulnerability analysis. This comes with Raspberry Pi Kali. So what you need to do is that you simply click this nmap. Then you will have the terminal. All right. And then if you type df, then you can see the space information about your file system. As I said, this Kali version has only 6 gig and used half of those, and half of those still available. All right. So when you first do is nmap, then you can see the help of nmap. Okay, some of the options displayed. So I want you to read those are options. I want to read at least once from the beginning of this help page to the end. And then you can follow my slide. So what I'm trying to do is to follow my slide. Not all, but some of the key points so that you and I can do it together. Okay? All right, so if you do, yeah, this is computer science of NYU. As you can see, the result of this, so almost all the result of this nmap in this components, in this format, the level of the data and 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 the size of the data may vary, but basically what you can see here is the port number, for example 25. Then through that 25 SMTP, the package is running. So this package opens and waits for the package through that port number. Port 25 is the mailer, right? So SMTP, small mail transfer protocols. So there, cs.nyu.edu has a mail server. Not many of the department servers do not run mail server, but theirs is more powerful systems. Of course, it has HTTP and HTTPS. Okay, their HTTP is 8080 rather than 8080 is also open here, but they do also 8080 as a proxy. And 443, that is secure protocol, as you can see here, 443. But they open another port 8443. This is the secure HTTP protocol ports, but they have alternative port is also available. If they want to, for example, to public, they can open 80. For their own membership, well, for some reason, if they run two different web servers on the same domain name, then they open differently. So yeah, basically that means something to you. Therefore, you can do some other way of attack, right? It's more maybe challenging for you to do that. You can try for Mercy. Actually, Mercy web server is not running by Mercy College. We have outsourcing. I do not know why, but that's what it is. And this is for Windows server, not Linux server. And this server has HTTP 80 and HTTPS 443 ports, and this is for some other reason. Okay, so if you want to attack Mercy web server, then you can attack through this port or that port uh, if uh, if and only if. Okay. Now we'll look at NS lookup. Remember that if we do NS lookup, I already installed, right? So you have to install. Install what? Install DNS utils. So once you install DNS utils, then you can start NS lookup program. Here, if you type um, um, the nickname of their domain, then you can see IP address, real number, numerical IP address, 128.122.49.30. If you do mercy, .edu, then 52.1.235.237. Let me see, I cannot see this. Let's see, highlight. Where did I do? Oh, this is okay. This NYU. Oh, here, from here, right? So address and amazonnews.com. So probably our web server is on some cloud computing, okay, some lease infrastructure. Once you have that, then you can do, let's get out here, and map and 128. Typo. Trying to scan all the servers with the IP address starting with the 128.122.49. So we'll see. Okay, so something came up. Um, for example, this is LDAP DEV CIMS NYU.edu. There's an IP of that. Another here, courses3.cims NYU.edu. And another web app SDB2 is another server. Webmail server. You have numeric IP data also, right? So which is cool. Web apps SDB1. And LDAP3. You know what LDAP means? I think that is lightweight directory directory access protocol. When I was in and working for corporate, I was using this LDAP. I mean, I installed and I managed through this LDAP to manage 8,000 Solaris servers. This LDAP is the program originally invented by Michigan University. LDAP is for the servers. Similar to LDAP is similar concept for LDAP in Windows system is, I think, adaptive directory, active directory, right? AD, which is a Microsoft products, but they are very similar in concept. This LDAP2. So the idea of LDAP is like Active Directory. Once you log in the system, then anywhere in that subdomain you can log in without the Active Directory or LDAP. Then each individual server, you need to have your login information. Okay, right now, what that means here, if I bring it here, see, each server has password information, right? Password that needs to be stored at each server. For example, if we have 8,000 servers, then you have to have that registration 8,000 times. If you want to update your password, then you have to do it again and again and again. Not only that creation and update issue, but access issue as well, right? So the idea is that, can we run the user access server separately, so each individual server, when they receive the request for access, then the verification of access or credentials relies on another server, which is LDAP server or Active Directory server. That is the idea. Okay, so this is it. So there are many LDAP. servers. LDAP4, Linux 2, I don't know what that is. Video server, proxy server 2, proxy server 1, LM servers, courses 2, previously we had a courses 3, CDS, another server, CILVR, web apps 4, 3, 2, 1, similar to that, similar to that, LV2, LV1, sashimi, Sun, Tag Lab. So lab has also server running, and Lean server 2, webmail, DB1, DB11, sim test. So a lot of, right? So we don't have to, we cannot do all of those. Okay. So if we want to see the OS information, then uppercase O, let's see what kind of operating system is running on the computer science server at NYU. Okay, so that is a Linux 3.2, right? Let's see, for example, Columbia Computer Science. Previously, they have also Linux server running. Yeah, they also somewhere here, Linux, right? All major universities has the department to own, particularly computer science department to own server running. But in our case, let's see what is running on www.mod.edu. No OS matches for this host. I do not know what that means. But if you know the operating systems clearly running on a particular infrastructure, And if you know the IP, um, open for a few application programs that you may know, then probably you are much closer to uh, the system. Okay, with a few more techniques and skill sets, then you may be able to get in. I mean, intrude the system. Not only intrude, but you may be able to uh, exploit a lot more. For example, if you know Linux operating systems and if you are in the Linux server, right? So this is kind of penetration or the intrusion that you may try. Another thing that we may be able to see here, uh, the interface information, interface and router. If I do nmap dash dash if list, I think here we have a type for enter, then from our local, we have two wireless LAN. Oh, more than that, right? There's all the information about that. Uh, and also MAC addresses, some of the IPs and MAC addresses, and the name of that um, service ID, right? That information can be displayed. Um, so I think you can follow the slides that I posted, where you have various different ways of scanning and and gaining information from uh, a server or multiple servers. Um, Before I close my lecture for today, I'm going to do spoofing and oh, because I need to do more, right? Wireshark. If I close Nmap, what we need to do is spoofing and cloaking with decoys. Okay, so let's do this for computer science server at NYU. So decoys needs an option minus uppercase D, and then 10.0.0.1 comma no space 10.0.0.2 comma 10.0.0.4, for example, and enter. Okay, so in this way that you can hide from their monitoring systems. Okay, I want you to practice more and more on this. If you want to develop some for your project, Nmap is one of good tools. Okay, like the other one, Recon-NG that you learned in the previous week. Nmap is another good tool that you may be able to exploit further and deeper. Okay, so I'm going to exit this, and then Wireshark. Remember that Wireshark is the package that we installed 2 lectures ago. If you do not know how to, then you can refer to that. And simply because it is, I believe it is installed for everyone. So simply type Wireshark. Okay. So capture interfaces. Let me see. I want to see this interface. So there are a few other interfaces available. So wireless LAN 0, and if I do this, I have the packets, right? If you run your web, then more actively that you can have. So I'm going to refresh this. See, there's a quick scrolling. So all kinds of protocols. The red ones is for TCP. So TCP informations, TCP packets came up. The way that you can run this, you can. So Wireshark is a good tool that you can analyze and identify the packets, right? For example, I'm trying to get the packets highlighted in red, which is TCP. You can also filter, but I'm not going to do that here. Let's see if I can do TCP. Yeah, they are all TCPs. So let me see this. Here, this is acknowledge and sync. So if there is some payroll data like this, right, then you can see that packets has as an entire that is called the frame. Frame is a packet. There's Ethernet data and IP data, and finally TCP components. Okay, and in a little more detail, if you see IP, see here, this is hexacode. This Wireshark has a 3 compartment, top, middle, and lower. In the lower compartment, then you see the hexacode. When I click this IP, then in this lower compartment, the highlighted hexacode represent all this the data, the information. By looking at this hexacode, that is interpreted in this way. Okay, the interpretation of this hexacode can be programmed in your Python, of course, right? That's what we did in our Python course 505. Uh, so by looking at each hexacode that you can tell, for example, total length 607 byte, identification, fragment, offset. All these are uh, very strictly structured. Okay, according to very specific, accurate uh, uh, data um, structures. So according to that data structures, the packed packets can be unpacked so that you can access, you can read uh, any code in that packets. Accordingly, you can interpret. The result of that interpretation is this. Okay, so it has a destination and source IPs. If you look at TCP, again, that is in hexacode highlighted here. So in TCP, and there's a flags, window size, and checksum options. Okay. So this is a payload. Okay. So if you interpret this payload, then you can see. Can you see this? Some of this data I cannot see it because I have very small, tiny terminals. But anyway, this way you can see and also analyze the wireless networks. Okay, so that you can get some more detailed information or data uh, coming from or going out to a specific server. Okay, that is possible in this Wireshark. Wireshark is very friendly um, tools for you to use. But at the same time, if you want to do it on the same thing on your uh, Python program, then rather than stopping the packets manually and looking at manually, everything can be done automatically and at real time, right? Which is a good, strength of your programming. That is another topic that you may be able to do for your projects. Okay, um, I think this is the end of my second lecture. Uh, since we have done our um, hacking and penetration tool over Raspberry Pi. All right, so I will see you in a week.